My name is Brian Payne. I'm the president of the Indianapolis Foundation and the CEO of the Central Indiana Community Foundation. Thank you very much for being here. We're very excited to make these announcements. This is kind of the final activity that's part of the Indianapolis Foundation's 100th anniversary celebration. We've been wanting to, all year long, celebrate the 100th anniversary of philanthropy and the Indianapolis Foundation's anniversaries, which started in 1916 as one of the oldest community foundations, one of the very first community foundations in the world. And we've had a series of really interesting things mostly this summer. We've established these Ben Franklin funds that will leave $100 million to $100 million legacies. There's a lot going on this street, Mayor. Right in the heart of incredibly vibrant downtown. So we've done some Ben Franklin funds, which will establish this legacy that will be available to Indianapolis in 2116, 100 years from now. Over the weekend, I hope you got to attend the Enlightened Festival on the Cultural Trail, the Glick Peace Walk, part of the Cultural Trail, and the canal, which had tens of thousands of people seeing how beautiful art and nature can come together around the canal and the beautiful landscaping of the Glick Peace Walk. We gave away $1 million at our gala on Saturday night, and now we have this incredibly wonderful exhibit that will start today but last until August 7th of 2017. So almost for a full year. And one of the themes that Indianapolis Foundation has always had is celebrating art and artists. We know that artists are an incredibly important part of our community. We need to honor them. We need to give them experiences so they can become as great as they can be when they go off and they travel the world and get inspired by their world journeys and work throughout the world. And even sometimes when they live other places, getting them back home and having them bring the culmination of their artistry back home to us is a special treat. And that's what we're celebrating today with Don Gummer. Don Gummer grew up in Indianapolis. Much of his family still lives in Indianapolis. Much of them helped execute and helped him install. His own family members helped him install these the last few nights, as they've been working very hard to get 8 wonderful pieces that he's done over the years. And the exhibit is called Back Home Again. So we're so excited that this internationally well-known, famous, celebrated artist is back home again and bringing some of his work to celebrate Indianapolis over the next year. And with that, I want to first introduce the CEO of an organization, the Indianapolis Arts Council, that has actually made public art a major priority and actually made it easy to do public art in Indianapolis. And so it's my great pleasure to introduce Dave Lawrence, the CEO of the Arts Council of Indianapolis. Dave, thanks for all you've done to make public art a big part of our lives.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thanks, Brian, and to all of you for being here this morning. This is a great day for the arts and a great day for the city of Indianapolis. Fresh from Indianapolis's first citywide light festival, 10 days of the Indy Fringe Festival, and now making final preparations by all of our performing arts organizations for the start of a new art season, here we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis Foundation in grand style. This is another shining example of our thriving arts and cultural community here in the city. The arts industry in Marion County has an annual economic impact of $384 million every year, and that number is growing. Central Indiana has more than 10,000 full-time equivalent jobs in the creative industries. We are so blessed to have exceptional leaders from all sectors who understand the importance of art and creativity to the lives of our residents and to our visitors. The arts are also good for tourism. Nearly half of our arts audiences are from outside Marion County, and that audience number topped 6 million in 2015. The exhibition being unveiled today is another successful public art initiative in a city that embraces public art. and celebrates creative placemaking as a catalyst for connection, for community, for crime prevention, and for cultural vibrancy. We need only look to the success of the Indianapolis Cultural Trail, a legacy of Gene and Marilyn Glick, and the increase in property values, nearly $1 billion, to show that creative placemaking provides opportunities for community engagement and civic pride that results in increased economic impact and cultural tourism. Today's event and the launch of this new exhibition is part of our week-long kickoff to the arts that culminates this Friday with the Arts Council's Start with Art Luncheon, one of the largest business and arts luncheons in the country. Yes, we know how to do it big in Indianapolis, and we know how to do great in Indianapolis. Visionary leaders like our great mayor, Mayor Joe Hogsett, Brian Payne and his incredible team at the Indianapolis Foundation and the Central Indiana Community Foundation, and key partners such as the Indianapolis Cultural Trail truly make Indianapolis a wonderful place to live, work, and play. Thanks for being here today. Enjoy the exhibition and all that the arts in our great city have to offer. Thank you.
So when the Central Indiana Community Foundation started to kind of try to build support for this concept called the Indianapolis Cultural Trail, and so many of our Cultural Trail partners are here today, so I really appreciate that. We sold it from a number of perspectives. We thought it could do a lot of things in the city, but one of the things that we also thought it would be is this kind of organizing framework for how to explore our city. And now that the Cultural Trail is managed by the Indianapolis Cultural Trail, Inc., as well as the Pacers Bike Share, which is how I got here today. I hope you took the Pacers Bike Share to get here today. It's wonderful and invigorating. But the Cultural Trail is proven to be this organizing framework for Back Home Again by Don Gummer. So I want to introduce Karin Haley, who's the Executive Director of the Indianapolis Cultural Trail, Inc., which also runs the Pacers Bike Share. And this would not have been possible without Cultural Trail, Inc. So, Karin?
Thank you, everyone, for joining us out here today on our fabulous 8-mile Indianapolis Cultural Trail, a legacy of Gene and Marilyn Glick. Brian, I think you and the rest of the founders of the Cultural Trail, as you said, it was going to be a framework for how you could explore and navigate our fantastic downtown. But it was also seen as this new canvas for art and for public expression and for creative placemaking, as Dave mentioned, for people to experience that in many ways in our downtown. And I'm very excited to partner with the Indianapolis Foundation in celebration of their 100th anniversary to host Don Gummer Back Home Again on the Indianapolis Cultural Trail. We hope that people will come out, as Brian said, for almost a full year. Grab a Pacers Bike Share bike, grab your friends, grab your strollers, grab your walking shoes, get out, be healthy, be active, and experience the great art that we have with this new exhibition on the trail for the next year, but also the wonderful, beautiful, and other art installations that we have on the Cultural Trail every year, every day. It's just a great way to explore our city and truly give back to Indianapolis by being out in our thriving downtown. Thanks for being here today, and turn it back over to Brian.
One of the concepts that many of us in Indianapolis are working toward is this idea that we could be the best city in America at creating access to art, nature, and beauty every day for everybody. And as Mayor Hogsett has come in as the leader of our city, the great mayor of our city, and put together this incredible team, I'm really, really thrilled and optimistic about what the mayor and his team can do to make that true in every neighborhood in Indianapolis, and for the city as a whole. A great friend of the arts and a visionary in his own right, along with Don Gummer, Mayor Joe Hogsett. Mayor, thank you for being here.
That's very generous of you. Thank you. Well, good morning. It is a vibrant morning in downtown Indianapolis, is it not? I'll do something about the traffic. Everything that needs and should be said has been said. The Indianapolis Foundation celebration, CICF's participation in the vibrancy of our city, the Indianapolis Arts Council and how vital the role it plays, obviously the Cultural Trail, has been transformative to our city. So I'll dispense with my remarks and get to the meat of what a mayor needs to do. The mayor needs to bring the hardware, or maybe pliable hardware. I want to talk about Don Gummer, creative mind, the 8 sculptures across our city that will honor the foundation centennial celebration. This exhibition represents in every way the various facets of Don's artistic career. Many of you know, I think some of you may be classmates, that Don is a graduate from the home of the Giants, Ben Davis High School. And I don't need to tell anyone here that since those days on the west side of Indianapolis, Don's sculptures have been showcased in 25 cities around the world, including New York, Rome, Los Angeles, and Moscow being his next international exhibition. Don, Indianapolis could not be more proud to have you as one of us. We are grateful to your contributions to our community and to the Indianapolis Foundation, which is why the people of this great city, the Circle City, present this proclamation to celebrate your achievements. Now, I will not read it in its entirety. Let me just highlight a couple of things. Whereas Don Gummer, back home again, presented to the Central Indiana Community Foundation on the occasion of Indianapolis Foundation's 100th anniversary, is his first major outdoor exhibition of 8 sculptures located on the Indianapolis Cultural Trail, a legacy of Gene and Marilyn Glick, representing a broad cross-section of his work spanning more than 20 years of his career. And whereas Don serves as an inspiration and a role model for all artists who aspire to follow their passion and have a career in the arts. We thank him for his dedication as an artist. We thank him for his commitment to family. We thank him for his commitment to community, and we wish him success in his future endeavors. Therefore, I, Indy Mayor Joe, hereby proclaim August 31, 2016 as Don Gummer Day in the city of Indianapolis. Congratulations, Don.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Hey, before I go any further, I want to thank the Indiana Repertory Theater for all of their help in making this press conference possible and some other activities throughout the day. And want to encourage all of you to ride your Pacers bike share down here in September to see the opening of the season. Three Musketeers opens in just a couple of weeks. It's going to be fantastic, and you need to be there. It's now my great pleasure to introduce a friend of mine who is one of our very important teammates on the Indianapolis Cultural Trail project, Mindy Taylor-Ross. Mindy is the owner of Art Strategies. She's an arts curator. She was the public art coordinator and manager for the Cultural Trail. She used to work with the Arts Council and helped Dave and his team establish some of the early wins in public art here in the city. And she was really the one that has had a long relationship of working with Don and kind of helped think about how this could work in Indianapolis at this time as part of Indianapolis Foundation's 100th anniversary, and is an incredibly great project manager, but also a very talented and knowledgeable world-class art curator. And it's my great privilege to introduce Mindy, who will then introduce the star of the show. Mindy.
We're getting close, I promise. 16 years ago, due to the recommendation of another very famous American artist, the late Robert Rauschenberg, I was interviewing for my first job in the visual arts. That initial interview with the gallery owners went well, but I was asked to come back for their next opening, a 2-person show, and then to join them afterwards for a private dinner with some of their best collectors and the 2 artists. Those artists were the New York-based artist Don Gummer and the LA-based artist Chuck Arnaldi. I must have received favorable reviews because I was hired and a few months later became the gallery's managing director. Since that first meeting, Don has been a trusted mentor and friend, sending me books, offering ideas and introductions, looking at and talking to me about art and my future. And then ironically, almost 13 years ago, I moved to his hometown, Indianapolis, and Mary, a Hoosier who, like Don, also studied art at the Herron School of Art and Design. Since my arrival in Indianapolis, the Central Indiana Community Foundation has been an avid supporter of my work, including my involvement in the Indianapolis Cultural Trail, a legacy of Jean and Marilyn Glick, and a supporter of the work of many of my colleagues who work in arts and culture here in the city. Given this background, it is a special pleasure to have had the opportunity to curate and produce Don Gummer Back Home Again with CICF and the Indianapolis Cultural Trail, Inc., in honor of the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis Foundation. Don Gummer Back Home Again is an exhibition of 8 large sculptures that span 20 years of Don's career. Don and I worked together looking at locations on or near the Cultural Trail and then considered what existing sculptures from his personal collection of work might be sensitively displayed along the trail. We considered physical spaces, thinking about scale and mass, as well as conceptual connections. For example, when we were walking and approached this gorgeous IRT building, Don recalled attending high school dances at the Indiana Ballroom roof. He immediately thought that Spanish guitar, that we stand with here today, would be perfect at this location. This piece is a rare one by the artist because it directly represents an object from the real world. However, it also references and builds upon the moment in art history when Braque and Picasso were giving birth to the Cubist movement, taking things apart and becoming abstract. Most of Don's work in the show is fully abstract, though, allowing the viewer to bring his or her interpretations to the work. I hope you'll find your way to the City County building and to the corner of West and St. Clair Streets, where you'll find Intersection and Open House, 2 massive sculptures that were recently featured in Don Gummer on Broadway, which stretched from Columbus Circle in New York City all the way up to Harlem. When you consider the titles of these 2 pieces, you may see references to buildings or streets. However, these sculptures actually reference the structure of haiku poems, with 5 elements on the first level, 7 on the second level, and 5 again at the top. Please enjoy these sculptures over the next year. Download the exhibition map at dongummerindy.com, grab a Pacer's bike at a bike share station, and explore the city. Thank you, Brian and CICF's leadership team, for all that you do in the community and for your leadership in thinking big about the possibilities for Central Indiana and for knowing the impact that the arts have on all people. Thank you to Gail Payne for generously volunteering to give of her time and expertise in the marketing and communications around this show. Thank you to Ann and Adam Carson, to Chad at Signarama, to Ernie Dahlman and Dahlman Contractors who installed the show. I want to give a special thank you to these people because they are all locally based firms and locally based talent. I want to give a special thank you to Mark Gummer, who I see just joined us in the back of the house, who ran the installation crew, putting extra heart and hard work into the installation and the presentation of his Big Brother's sculpture. Finally, I want to thank Don for working with an old friend to make a great show that is open and available without barriers for everyone in this city to enjoy every day over the next year.
I want to, first of all, thank everybody for coming here, and I really want to thank the drivers for not honking while I'm talking. I grew up in the West Side in Bridgeport with my mom, dad, and 5 brothers. We built everything from forts out of trees and snow to ball fields from patches of dirt. We created racetracks and dug pole vaulting and high jumping pits in our backyard. my mother was very indulgent. We constructed tree houses and put together bikes, go-karts, and model airplanes. We explored for miles around our house, which was the center of an ever-expanding world. During the housing boom of the 60s, houses were built in our circular neighborhood. And I noticed the architecture, the placement of the houses, the building process, and I marveled at the interior framing and the logic that it created in the house. When I knew I wanted to be an artist, I felt a curiosity and need to explore the city in search of interesting places and structures that didn't exist in what was then the countryside. I was drawn to Monument Circle, the most unique architectural feature in the city in Indianapolis. And it provides a true, symbolic, and dignified center of a very balanced city. Seeing it opened a window to my own future as an artist, as it encompassed the traits that I would strive for in my work. Every week during my senior year at Ben Davis, I would take a bus to the John Herron School of Art to take drawing classes. And before boarding the bus back to Bridgeport, I would walk around and imagine and living and working here. The layout of the city, with a circle in the center surrounded by squares, provided a feeling of security, and it made perfect sense that in art, as in life, there is a center, and from it, things emanate. Before exploring the city to the east, I began selling work that was displayed on a fence along US 40, about 10 miles from here, at a gallery called the Herschel Fullen Art Gallery, just east of Bridgeport. I did oil portraits of famous men like Hemingway, Albert Schweitzer, and Albert Einstein because I liked the structure of their faces. Today I realize how formative those years were, living on the west side where we could build whatever our imaginations came up with, served as the foundation when I began thinking about art. Then, when I explored the city, its circles and squares emanating from the center provided me with a sense of confidence and an understanding of my own place within the city and the world. A sense of beginning and grounding is invaluable, I believe, for an artistic career. So I'm very honored to have been asked to exhibit my work in our beautiful city. From exhibitions on the fence in Bridgeport to placing my work along the cultural trail, the journey is far, but it really is so close. Thank you very much.